Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Lead Genius. Higher quality leads and customized customer data at scale. Schedule a free demo at leadgenius.com. And by Citrix GoToMeeting. Meeting is believing. Visit gotomeeting.com, click on the Try It Free button, and sign up for a 30-day free trial.
Hey everybody, today on the program, Eric Migicovsky. He is the founder and CEO of Pebble. Pebble broke all records with their Pebble watch on Kickstarter, $10 million, and then came back 2 years later and launched their next Pebble, Pebble Time, which is their 3.0 color version, and they broke $20 million at the time of this taping, which is 29 days into their 30-day Kickstarter. They've broken all the records in the face of the greatest competitor you could ever have, Apple, the largest company in the world, and a company that's damn good at making hardware products. On today's program, we talk about what do you do when your company is faced with a huge competitor. It's an amazing episode, and guess what? They're winning. So stick with us. It's going to be great.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and welcome to This Week in Startups. This is the program I've been doing for almost 6 years now, where I feature entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, people who are changing the world by making things that push the human race forward just a little bit. And I am thrilled today because we have a gentleman on the program who set 2 records in crowdfunding history. Eric Migicovsky, I got it right.
It's me.
Welcome back to the program. You've been on before, yeah? Yeah, a long time ago.
I don't think it was in person, though. I think it was just
we did when I was living in LA. We did like a go-to meeting. That's right. You were on years ago.
It's good to be here.
It's good to be here in person here in San Francisco. I moved up here. Now, of course, you founded and you're the CEO of Pebble, which, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 2008 or 2009 when you started it?
2009.
2009.
Yeah.
The first watch company, really, smartwatch company. And, of course, smartwatches are on everybody's mind with the imminent arrival of the Apple Watch. But what is truly fascinating is not that you set the record for Kickstarter back in 2010 or 2012 when you did $10 million and set a record that just absolutely blew everybody's mind here in the Valley. How can anybody sell $10 million of a product in advance? It was just mind-blowing. Just today, at the taping of this episode, you crossed $20 million for the Pebble 3 watch.
Yeah.
29 days into the Kickstarter, which ends tomorrow.
Yeah, it does. Pretty good coincidence there.
How do you explain this incredible success of setting the record twice? What is it about what you've done that has made people pay attention to the level of putting in so many contributions to make this a reality?
I think I give it up to the backers, to the people who supported us.
Yeah.
You know, I've been working on this for just about 7 years now. And I mean, I'm trying to think back to 2008, 2009 when I was starting to work on it. And I mean, I could not have imagined it being as successful as we are here today, which makes it crazy to think about 7 years from now, because if I couldn't expect that, then what's going to happen next? I mean, we've gotten a lot done. We've shipped our millionth Pebble.
Congratulations.
And we've grown we've grown from, we started from the bottom, as a good Canadian would say.
Yeah.
And I think, it's been exciting. The last 30 days have been extraordinarily exciting, but I just can't wait for what's next. I mean, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting.
So the new generation of watch, what would you say are the signature developments in the new watch?
Yeah, so what's new with Pebble Time? I mean, with
Pebble Time is Pebble 3.
Yeah, that's
essentially.
It. Yeah, we had Pebble Steel, and we got Pebble Time.
Got it.
The biggest change is that it has a color e-paper screen.
Got it.
And we did this for, I think, a pretty specific reason. We've always been known for the people who kind of have somewhat of a unique approach to smartwatches. We're not trying to put a color LCD screen on the wrist. We're not putting like smartphone class tech. We actually have in the first Pebble, we have a microcontroller that has the same power as the original Mac, the classic.
Wow.
It's 128K. So
Right. And this is why your watch lasts 5 days, 6 days on a charge?
up to 7 to 10 days, yeah.
Yeah.
And it is, exactly. I mean, we have the tiniest microcontroller possible, and we chose it because we believe we can provide, a pretty awesome experience, but at the same time, not grab all your battery life.
Yeah, and it really is a pain in the neck to have to charge these things. I had the Samsung one for a bit, stopped using it. Had the Moto one, stopped using it. It's too much of a chore to be charging your watch in addition to your phone, and they seem to run out after a couple of hours. It's not
relaxing. It's not going to make your life easier.
No. But now explain the e-paper technology and why you chose that and how that technology has developed over the years.
I don't know if I've shared this. The one of the weirdest things, the first display, the display inside the original Pebble, actually came from an industrial parking meter or something like that. Because when you think about it, what needs to have low power, sunlight readable, and stay on all the time? Well, it's a parking meter. And so we took that technology, that screen that was previously being used in all these industrial applications, and brought it onto the wrist. And it turned out to make a pretty damn good little smartwatch screen because it was always on. You didn't have to flick your wrist to see what time it was.
Yeah.
The battery lasted a long time. And I think my favorite part is when you're going for a run and when you're going outside, you could see the screen. It doesn't get washed out.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is we actually tried using an OLED before. So we had a watch before. It was called Impulse. It worked with BlackBerry phones.
Wow.
And it had a color screen. It had a full color OLED screen.
And how long did the battery last on that?
24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 24 hours with some amount of actual use. Because when it's an OLED, you have to turn it off, right?
We actually kept the screen on all the time to show. Looking back at those photos, it's kind of ridiculous. We would show the time in the top left corner of the screen.
Right.
But it was to see the full time, you had to press a button.
Right.
And it was pretty annoying.
So what have you learned is the driving force or the driving use case of smartwatches?
We've, I think, got a perspective on it that's unique, but it's also driven by the fact that we've been talking to users for the last we started shipping at the beginning of January 2013, so just over 2 years. Our users have told us what smartwatches are useful for in 2015.
Right.
It's notifications. But something more interesting, we started noticing that people were using it for kind of glancing at relevant information. But what we realized is that the operating system that we had designed for the original Pebble was based all around apps. You'd have an app for weather, an app for music, for traffic, weather, stocks, all of this real-time information. And it was super annoying that the user would have to go through this list of apps and get into the app just to gather some of their calendar. They'd have to go into a calendar app, or you'd have to go into a weather app to see what it's going to be like that evening. And
it's a hunting and pecking kind of a thing. You got to keep drilling down on menus on a little tiny screen.
Exactly. And
it's inefficient.
I love Pebble. I mean, we created it, and I think we had to create it because that was what the first generation of tech looks like.
Right.
Just in the same way that we had a color screen, a color OLED on our first gen, we had to learn the lesson, and then the next gen we switch it. So I think we've learned the lesson about apps. We have thousands of apps that are available for Pebble, and they're great in certain circumstances. But if you want to look down and see some relevant information about your day, there needs to be something that grabs information from all of these apps and reorganizes it in something a bit more usable. And that is what we put into the new watch. It's called Timeline.
Timeline.
Yeah. So it is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of having to go into an app to see what event's coming up next or what your next meeting is.
Or a news headline or something.
You just click one button and you can go into the past, the present, or the future.
Love it.
And it does exactly what you think it would do. It tells you what's coming up next.
Right.
I mean, today I see that I'm here on This Week in Startups. And then we've got an event coming up in the city for some of our developers and our backers.
Yep.
That's next up. And then I've got the sunset. I've got the evening temperature down in Palo Alto up here. And it's what I need to know right
Maybe
now.
a news headline,
Yeah.
heart rate, steps.
We've got steps, there's stocks, there's movies that are coming up next. And this, I think, is a different approach than those kind of rounded rectangle apps.
Right.
This takes the information that's from all those apps and reorganizes it in a way that you don't have to constantly drill down through menus to see what's...
So then your smartphone is basically organizing all this and sending a list of important stuff.
Yeah,
Sort
it's
of like
driven
your
by
own-
the apps you use already.
Right. So this makes it so. What does an app developer have to do then to get into this timeline?
So there's a couple different ways that you can get in. There's native apps on the watch. There's Android and iOS apps on the phone. But with Pebble Time and Timeline, we're actually introducing a new way that developers can inject information into a watch. Web. So web developers can now push information just using an HTTP API, an endpoint. They don't have to write any native code on the watch. They don't even have to write a mobile app.
Got it.
So if you're someone like Rotten Tomatoes and you want to push information to people in what movies are around you, what movies
Or
are
actually,
hot.
I got a better one. I mean, I love Metacritic. No offense to Rotten Tomato, but I think
Totally
I like the Metacritic methodology slightly more. I'm a little geeky.
Slightly
about this.
different, yeah.
Slightly different, but listen, I know I'm going to cause like a riot here. But I
don't
would
have to
love-
build an app, exactly.
They don't have an app. And so I would much rather be able to set on their site or yours an if this, then that statement. Right? You know, if this, then that. I
Yeah.
love that. Can we make a note, producer, Emmy Award-winning producer Jackie? Can we get the founder of If This, Then That on the program? I'm an if this, then. Are you like if this?
Yeah, they have two new apps that they just came out with. It's called
What?
Do. It's a one-button app. It just does something for
Do.
you. Do. It's
I
pretty
like
cool.
that. I'm going to check that out. So what I love about if this, then that is I could say if greater than 80.
Oh, like the critical sort. Yeah, exactly.
If 80, which is their numbering system, 0 to 100, right? If greater than 80, just put it on my timeline and let me know when that score comes out.
Yeah.
I would really appreciate just that. But if science fiction, greater than 60, because I'm a big sci-fi fan.
And you're willing to give them a little bit of a...
And these critics, Eric, let me tell you something about these goddamn critics. They dog science fiction. And that's why
what did Interstellar get on Metacritic?
probably like 65
No.
or something. Yes, of course. Well, look it up. Producer Jackie will tell me. But it is literally, they're always dogging the sci-fi stuff. And for zombie stuff, I would put it at greater than 40, but there's only like one zombie movie a year.
Now, did you read, on the topic of zombies, did you read World War Z, the book?
Of course.
You read the book?
Yeah.
So you watched the movie. What was your opinion?
Yeah, the movie was not very good. Yeah. I mean, it was just, here's the thing about also World War Z was such a large amount of information. It should really be a television series. So they should have just made it a TV series like Walking Dead and just gotten there. All right, when we get back from commercial break, I want to ask you the most annoying question that you have to contend with your entire life, which is,
How tall am I?
no, we know you're 6'6". No, I want to ask you about the Apple Watch and what happens as an entrepreneur when the 800-pound gorilla is coming into your space, and what happens inside a company, and how you manage that with your team, how you manage it with your board of directors, and how you yourself as an entrepreneur stay focused, eyes on the prize, when you know coming over the hill is the mighty Apple when we get back on This Week in Startups. And let me just say thank you to Lead Genius, number one, for letting me invest in their company. I mean, Lead Genius is a crazy important product, and we use it here at This Week in Startups. Here's what it does. I could read you a bunch of the copy, but I'm going to just tell you what it does, because I just got out of a meeting. We use Lead Genius. They will go through our contact management database, like our CRM, customer relationship management. They went through all of the contacts we have, and they put their experts through it and found new contacts and important contacts we have who we didn't know about. And they call this reactivation. So they went through our database. They found like 3 or 4 people at every company who didn't return our calls, our sales team's calls. You know what happened? They found somebody. That person, I won't say the company's name because I don't have permission, that company wound up sponsoring the launch festival for $35,000. This service costs like a couple grand a month to clean up all your contacts and do this on an ongoing basis, and then send emails to people, and then they'll even call people on the phone to get that first call going. My salespeople now, my partnership people, they come in the morning, and their email is already filled with all the corrected contact information, all the outgoing done. It's done. So my salespeople just said to me today, we don't need to add a third sales rep. Lead Genius is so efficient that we can stay with 2 at the company. I was like, I'm so in love with this company. I'm so glad I invested. And the CRM part is super important because you're going to get all these, you're going to get quality leads and get rid of the bad ones. And you can spend more time selling and more revenue. And they obviously the way they do it is they scour the web for public information, proprietary information like LinkedIn, and they put it all in your system. But they have other databases they use too, and they manage all this in your CRM. So if you're using Salesforce or Tout or whatever you're using, they'll use whatever you're using, which is awesome. They've got clients like Stripe and Signifyd and us. Go to leadgenius.com/twist. And you'll get a free review, audit, critique of your company's sales process by the Lead Genius team. Again, leadgenius.com/twist. An amazing product. I paid a couple grand to use it for a couple of months, and I wound up in the black. Like literally $35,000 sponsorship. That's like a top-level sponsorship at my event. And they are 100% responsible for it. leadgenius.com/twist if you want to increase your sales and start doing it now, as opposed to when you can hire somebody and somebody, and the number of salespeople, you're not going to need as many salespeople because all the hard stuff they do for you. Okay, that's Lead Genius. We could talk about it for hours. Thank you, Lead Genius. So my guest, of course, is Eric Migicovsky.
Migicovsky.
Kowski, yeah. Got it. And he is the founder and CEO of Pebble, which he's been running since 2009, broken 2 records on Kickstarter. But of course, let's be honest, Apple is like the most formidable competitor for any company in the world.
They are the largest company in the world, I believe.
They're literally the largest company in the world. So you're literally a small concern, right? You have how many people? 50, 100? I don't know.
140?
140 people. Actually, bigger than I thought, right? So you got a decent number of people. But when you knew the Apple Watch was coming, it comes. And this is the thing that I'm so impressed by, Eric. I saw that you did the 3.0, the Pebble Time, on Kickstarter. And I said to myself, wow, I wonder if people will be in wait-and-see mode. Let's wait and see what the Apple Watch is like. I'll go try it.
Soon, yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out in a couple weeks, in fact. And no, even with the imminent arrival of the Apple Watch, you broke all records and got 20 million pre-orders. So what I want you to break down for us is how, as a CEO, do you remain calm in the face of this? And did even you expect the 20 million sales number?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. What did you expect, honestly?
I didn't put down a bet. They had a bit of a pool going at the office.
Oh, did they really? What was the high and the low?
I think there was some ridiculous numbers just as the high. I think once you scrape the 5% off the other side, there was some. I think some people will hit it right on the nail. I was betting the whole company on it, so that was a little bit of a bigger bet. I decided to
like that,
refrain from these other ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a side bet. Listen, my entire life is at stake here, people.
Let's focus on the big picture here.
Yeah.
So, did we expect it to be this kind of this large success? No, I mean, in my opinion, we built a good product. We've been working on it for about a year, but I think what really came together was the fact that our engagement, our retention with our existing user base, the people who've bought Pebble, dating back 3 years, are using it today and supported us again. We had, within the first couple hours, tens of thousands of Pebblers who are using Pebble on a daily basis come out and say, like, I like the direction that you're going. I want to see what this goes. And I respect that. I respect it and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I think that as a small company, we have to be completely in tune with, you're in tune with your audience, we're in tune with our audience. And I think that's we can't sit in a room and design a product in a vacuum and say, this is going to be the future of this particular
What are your tricks for really bonding with your users? Do you have little hacks of how do you bring them in? Do you talk to them? Do you hold seminars? How do you know as CEO what they're thinking?
So we do a variety of things. One is we try to get out into the community as much as possible. Being in San Francisco, it's not that hard. There's a lot of people wearing Pebble. I stop people on the Caltrain. I stopped someone on the bike ride over here who's wearing a Pebble. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Chatted a little bit. We reach out just randomly. I send emails to people. I'll ask our data science team to scrape just a list of random emails, and I'll just email them and see what's going on.
Really? That's
interesting. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, Instagram. WhatsApp. We are on.
You're on WhatsApp too?
Yeah. Sorry, not WhatsApp. Snapchat.
Snapchat,
Of course,
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
we're on Snapchat as well, which is exciting to say the least.
Yeah.
And we also look at anonymized data in aggregate. We look at our user base in the same way that a website or a web service will look at engagement and retention metrics. That's critical. There's two things that matter at Pebble. There's the number of people that we're inviting and bringing into our community, like people who are purchasing the watch, and then we have retention. And we use that as a metric for quality. Are people continuing to use our product on a daily basis?
Yeah. Do they keep wearing the watch?
That's it. And
Because
for us,
I have to say, with the Samsung, I have a lot of friends with Samsung, I just didn't get enough value from it to go back to my house. Right? Like there's this go back and when you're like the door shuts behind
the
you.
turnaround factor.
Is that what it's called in the industry?
Sure. Well, it is now.
It is now.
Yeah.
This is to me the key, because if I close that door and I got to take my keys out to get back in, do I turn around to get the watch?
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting things about Pebble Time is we've said it's not the watch for everybody. We come out and say it ahead of time. Like
Right.
This is not the be all and end all of smart. You have to give us some time. We're going to be at this for another 7+ years.
Right.
But today, the watch is Pebble's extraordinarily useful for people who are busy,
Right.
folks who are running around, who manage a calendar, who manage a schedule, who manage a business or a family or a house, or they're in touch with their friends, their business partners, and they want to accomplish things during the day. One of the things that we added with Pebble Time is a microphone, so you can actually hammer out a quick response to a notification on the go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we did it we didn't open it up. I mean, we didn't create like this entire AI around the voice interface. We said that it does one thing, but it does it really well. That's responding to notifications like Gmail. Like if you get a new notification, you could see the first couple lines. If you could respond to it from your wrist and take care of it so it doesn't get listed in your...
So when you hit reply, it sends an audio file to the person?
Both, actually. You can choose to send voice to text if the transcription worked well. But if you're running around SF, it's going to be pretty hard to get the voice to text.
Right, perfect.
Perfect. So we give the option of just sending the audio file. It's the
I
first
love
time
that
that's
too.
ever been done. Yeah.
And so when you see the Apple Watch come out, were you impressed? Were you relieved that they went in whatever direction? Did it meet your expectations? Exceeded? It must have been an interesting
I've got
morning.
pretty high
Take me to that.
expectations. Yeah.
Right. Well, take me to that morning, because you certainly
September, yeah. Or the one this.
Not this one, the original one when they debuted it.
Yeah.
Right. So
back in September.
Everybody, did you watch it at the office
We
as a
did.
group?
We watched it. Well, there was a couple groups. I mean,
Couple of
most
groups,
people
right? So
were
you're
working,
watching
but
it.
some
What's the
people wanted
climate like? Take me to that day.
Well, we were eating popcorn, so
Okay.
it was a good
staying
it was a show.
positive,
We
yeah.
were enjoying the there's only one company in the world that can put on a show like
Right.
Apple, and that's
And then they
that's special.
screwed up the live feed with Japanese voiceover on. Remember that? Oh God.
Maybe not the live stream, but they can put on a show.
Man, did they screw up the live stream? Oof. Steve Jobs would have been on fire about that.
Denny's tweeted a really good tweet after that about the anyways.
Yeah.
We watched it. We saw what they had to say, and it was interesting. I mean, the number one question that I'd received for the 6 years leading up to that announcement was, "Hey, what are you going to do when Apple comes out?"
Yeah.
And it was an open question. I mean, when a product is a rumor, it can be literally anything.
Right.
It's not
knows?
it's not vaporware. It's actually could be anything. And so when reality came together, and the Apple Watch was revealed, I think we were excited. I mean, Apple had built, it's a great product. Apple builds great products. You cannot fault them for their quality and for their craftsmanship and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, they took a very particular direction with their design and the software and everything, the experience.
Right.
That's quite distinct from Pebble.
Right.
They've chosen to use smartphone class components inside their watch.
Which led to probably this delay, they said, of the battery is just draining instantly. People were saying 2 or 3 hours of use.
Well, I think we should probably hold off on.
Well, now it's better, I think, but it was the big, I could say it, you don't have to, but it was a big, significant concern, and the thing's not going to last more than a day. It's going to last hours.
Yeah, and I think they designed it that way. They designed it to be something that you take off and you leave on your bedside or something like that. What's interesting is that, I mean, the one thing that I was kind of surprised at, and we'll see how it goes, obviously, is that there wasn't a particular vision that they put forward that said, this is why this product exists. I think when we started, we had a very clear vision. I wanted to see my text messages while I was bicycling. That was literally the first reason why we started working on this. It's evolved since then. There's an entire platform and ecosystem of developers and hackers and people building on top of it. But at the beginning, it was just that. It was very first version of our software, not for Pebble, for the first watch we didn't even show the time.
Right. You're like, who cares what time it is?
Well, it was a bug report from my dad. He was like, I think my smartwatch should show the time.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
So we were sitting there watching this announcement and waiting for kind of the moment when I remember
something clicks.
When the original iPhone came out, Steve Jobs came up and he said, this is an amazing phone, it's an amazing internet communicator, and it's an amazing iPod, all in one. 3 things. Didn't see that for the Apple Watch. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll try it out. We're going to get a couple in the office.
Of course,
experiment with them. Don't know if we're going to get the edition, the $17,000 one. That might be a
that
bit
seems
of
a little. That one was weird because I was like, and I understand what they're going for, but it feels like that's not their brand to be doing this like high-end crazy stuff, and then to make it not upgradable. So what am I supposed to do? Like break it apart, melt the gold down, and sell the gold for $5,000?
Yeah.
Or just have this old timepiece that I can't use anymore because the battery and the technology is so old that it doesn't run modern apps. It makes no sense that you couldn't remove the innards.
So that's why like the perspective that they had on it was quite distinct, quite different than Pebble were.
I don't think it was logical. It was not logical to make a $17,000 watch where the innards cannot change if the innards drive the apps. It's an app-driven watch. That's why I don't think that thing's going to sell. Only an idiot would buy that. I'm just saying, I think the $350 watch, of course, you can buy that, or whatever. Yeah. But to buy a $17,000 watch,
it's a bit different.
It's hugely different. It's going to be like a very weird market for that specific piece. All right. When we get back from this next commercial break, I want to talk about the app ecosystem and what you think the killer features, are sort of evolving into.
For sure.
And what you think they might be able to do better than the Pebble, right? So, the OLED and this watch technology could enable some things that maybe you can't do on Pebble. Let's talk about that when we get back. All right, listen, very simple for me to do this ad. Citrix GoToMeeting, I use it every day. And the reason I use it every day is because I'm a professional and I need to take a lot of meetings. And those meetings occur in a conference room with a big screen and 1080p cameras. And I want them to start on time. And I want them to have the ability for different people on the call to take control of the screen and do presentations, right? I'm meeting with a lot of investments and startups and all this kind of stuff. I need a robust solution like GoToMeeting, and I've been using it for years because there is never a time when it doesn't work. It always just works perfectly, and it has HD quality, and the VoIP, the IP is just amazing, like perfect clarity all the time. So I want you to go ahead and try GoToMeeting today. It's free for 30 days, nothing to lose. Visit GoToMeeting.com and click the Try It Free button. Do it now, and you'll have your first meeting up and running in minutes. That's GoToMeeting.com for your free 30-day trial. And there's a lot of other cool features people don't know about, like a little chat room there and a record button so you can record the audio and have it for later and share it with everybody who's on the call. And there's the ability for me to let you take control over my screen or vice versa. That sounds like a weird thing, but it's kind of cool when I can flip the deck. Also, I have people who are calling in. One of the things I love about it is you can call in on the phone or you can use the voice over IP. So in a meeting, I have multiple people with headsets on, and some people are dialing in on a phone. Some people are dialing in over their laptops. Some people are using I use my iPad now. I got the new iPad. It works flawlessly. So it's just great to have a service like GoToMeeting that works flawlessly. Thank you, GoToMeeting. All right, there we go. We got the ads out of the way. Now, what will the Apple Watch do that the Pebble can't, right? Like, what does the OLED enable that's absolutely amazing and phenomenal, do you think?
I think it's a Retina screen. It's definitely a different kind of, like I said, a little different direction. It's got, well, I mean, there's the facts. It's a OLED. It turns off because it needs to save power.
Yeah.
It's less less strong outside because just like your phone, it gets kind of washed out.
But it's brighter when it's in darkness.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it would be glowing and just sending out, whereas Pebble's a reflective display. That means that the power comes from the sun. It also has a backlight for low light situations. So if you're in bed, you could just flick your wrist and see what time it is. But outside and under most normal everyday situations, the backlight is off. And it's just this simple reflective screen. To be honest, I think it helps. Actually, it's not something that's glowing. It doesn't attract attention to it. It's just there, and you can always look down because the screen is always on, just like a watch.
Which I thought was weird. I thought for an instant that they were going to follow you and do e-paper. Did you think that ever?
No. It doesn't strike me as the Apple's move. Like, Apple has invested a ton in building a brand around
the Retina.
But also, like, you look at iOS 8, and it is coherent. It has a great design philosophy. I wouldn't see them changing and shifting to incorporate something that's as different as e-paper. Whereas you can see our design has evolved a lot. The UI and the interface design has evolved a ton since our first version, and we've actually embraced e-paper and said we want to push this to the limit. We're doing 30 frames per second animations on it.
Oh, really?
It's not like your Kindle anymore. It's actually this colorful, emotional sort of character screen.
How is it going to advance in the coming years, e-paper?
It's tough to say.
And who owns e-paper? Is that like a specific company that owns it, or is it
no?
a standard?
E-ink is a particular company. We don't use an e-ink display. E-paper is a generic term.
E-paper is a generic term.
Yeah, and it indicates that it's a low-power display, looks great outside, that kind of thing.
Got it.
But generally, there's a lot of misconceptions around it that's just the Kindle kind of black and white. And so what we're saying with this is it's full color. You can run animations at full speed. It looks great.
What do you think the killer apps are going to be for this? Because obviously scheduling, messaging is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But what haven't we seen yet that you think is going to be killer? Or do you not know?
I've got a couple ideas.
Okay.
But one of the things that I love about Pebble is that it's just a completely fucking open platform. I don't know if we're
You can curse, it's fucking
it's completely open.
Yes.
Like, we don't put
you don't have to be approved, right?
We don't have to be approved, but also, like, you can hack on. There's firmware hackers that are
firmware
changing
hackers.
And adjusting what Pebble does.
And what have they done? What's the craziest stuff you've seen them do?
Well, I mean, here's we're talking about priorities and what we work on. As a small company, we can't try to do everything. And one of the things that we weren't able to do right from the get-go was international language support. And so the community that we had kicked off with Kickstarter actually rose up around that. There's about 20 to 30 translations of the Pebble operating system that are done by just the community.
Is it open source?
It's not open source, but it's very easy to hack on top.
Right.
There's some closed components, but it's generally pretty open.
Yeah, and have you seen people do very interesting things with it, like for specific applications, or?
Yeah, I mean, so that's just the firmware. The actual app ecosystem is again completely open, and people have been using it. Just today, someone launched an epilepsy tracker for a very particular. Today is actually, or yesterday was National Epilepsy Day, and. What they did is, I believe, chatting young developer, his mom suffers from epilepsy, and during the evening during night she doesn't have full-blown epileptic shock. She has tremors, and he's written an app for Pebble that lets her sleep with the watch, and it tracks these tremors that wouldn't even wake her up, but yet are still important to know if the medications are working. And he built this app just on top of the platform. I can't imagine him doing that on any other platform out there.
Yeah, you'd have to get approved, and then it would kick off all kinds of
Exactly. And I'm not saying that Pebble's I can't legally say that Pebble's a medical device platform, but I think it's enabled a lot of people to build things that they
for themselves that they need.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so, what do you think about shopping on? And Ubers and stuff like that.
I think that there's a massive opportunity on Pebble to build things that solve one or two specific problems. There's actually an Uber app. There's not an Uber app yet for Pebble. There's some. Uber just recently opened up their API.
Yeah, they're having a hackathon actually.
Yeah,
a challenge post.
So I believe that within days there's going to be a pretty damn good Uber app. But when you think about it, Pebble's not great. You can't type into Pebble. There's not like a keyboard that you're going to be typing. So it's really good for things that you just need to know now. So there's a great Caltrain app for Pebble that lets you see it geolocates you. It knows where you are, and it shows you the one thing that you care about. wins the next Caltrain.
Right.
So it does one thing, and it does it really, really well without the user having to like input any information into the watch.
So you don't see these really as creation devices, content creation devices?
Not yet. I think
Not
with
yet.
the microphone, we're getting there with recording short voice notes or saying that you want to be able to take notes into your Evernote. But it'll get there. I think what we needed to do with Timeline is provide kind of a coherent structure that other people can build on top of instead of creating these siloed apps that would constantly kind of
Yeah, you
propagate.
basically have taken an entire level out of it.
Yeah.
It's almost like Google Now, I guess, has their like little feed or something
Yeah, we've
like
tried
that of
Google
live.
Now. What we didn't like about Google Now is that it's very difficult. It's not trustworthy. It's not reliable. It relies on Google kind of guessing what you want.
Yeah.
Whereas what we found from our users was that they wanted to know what just happened, what's happening now, like music that's playing, the stock market, weather right now, and then what's happening in the future.
Are you curating that at all? Like, are you saying, hey, it'd be really interesting to have, I don't know, top San Francisco news?
Yeah.
So we're going to pull from Inside or whoever, San Francisco Chronicles, specific San Francisco thing, and we're going to put in the top news as an option so I can just set it on my Pebble, not have to go to their site to do it, or is it?
That's the plan.
Yeah.
We're still. I have to be very cautious. Like we're still in the early stages of this. Our job right now is to get it out and to make it kick ass.
Right.
We're opening it up. It's today. Actually, we launched the Timeline APIs so that developers can push and pull information into Timeline. And over time, like discoverability. And I love my phone, but sometimes it's really difficult to discover apps for phones
yeah.
these days.
Yeah, it's a huge
you hear about them on Twitter or Facebook, but I mean, the App Store is not something that I go to every single day to see what's coming up. So I think we have an opportunity with Pebble, since we're not using the iOS or Android app stores, we built our own app store. We can do some interesting things around discoverability, like-minded people, like-minded apps.
Your friends are using this one, or this one's popular in San Francisco. Or
Yeah, exactly. And I think we can do that because we don't have to be constrained by the existing platforms.
Yeah. And so where do you, when does this come out? What's
Pebble Time's shipping in May.
Wow, that's fast.
Yeah, so it's pretty soon. I mean, we've already built. It's slightly different than our first Kickstarter. Our first Kickstarter, we literally had not done it. I mean, we were just three or five dudes hanging out, making this watch. We didn't really know how big it would go. We had an idea that this one would be a little bit bigger. So
And you were a little bit late, right? Getting it to people a little bit?
We were, yeah. We were off by a couple months. Exactly.
Yeah. And how did you handle that? Community was cool?
Well, I think the proof's in the pudding. Like we had sold 85,000 Pebbles on Kickstarter the first time, and since then it's been 10x. So I think we did a really good job. We didn't do a perfect job, and I mean,
well, everybody's late. I mean, I'm being a couple of months late on Kickstarter is on time, by the way.
yeah. So
Kickstarter time is about plus 3 months, right? Plus 6 months on average right now.
And we are prolific Kickstarter backers ourselves. We've backed companies backed over 60 or 70 projects now.
Oh, cool.
And just last week we announced a new initiative where I don't know if you caught the news. So we've added something called a Smart Strap connector on the back of Pebble.
I did hear that. What is that exactly? You can put more sensors onto your Pebble?
Yeah. So the idea is like you can already hack on the software on Pebble.
Right.
But why not the hardware? We've decided what goes in here. We've put a color screen. We've
Dude,
put a
I think that's the
microphone.
biggest thing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest piece of this.
It turns out that like all of these sensors, they're great. We've tried them all. But when you add them, it affects the battery life and it affects the size and the waterproofness of the watch. And those are things that we hold sacred.
Right.
Size is critical, battery life, water resistance, critical. But
Can I jump in a pool or no? Not advisable.
Oh, this is 100% swim. You can swim with it.
Really?
It's waterproof.
Has anybody made a swimming app, by the way?
Yeah, the swim.com actually wrote a swimming app. It uses the accelerometer to track the strokes that you're using.
Yeah.
Just like Fitbit, but for swimming.
Do people wear one on each hand? So
No, you don't have to, because, I mean, usually people swim symmetrically.
Yeah, you would think. So you can put a sensor in the wristband.
Think about this.
So genius, dude.
Instead of having to have a watch with a GPS, a heart rate monitor, a gigantic battery, NFC, all of these different sensors, and all of a sudden the watch is growing to be this big thing, you can swap the straps out. It takes about 5 seconds. There's a quick release mechanism. You can swap the strap out, and as developers build, or as companies and accessory makers build these new products, you can imagine a GPS strap. So when you go for a run, you don't have to have this all the time, but you can swap out and put a GPS strap on.
And the battery would be powered by the strap. It would be built into the
Either
strap
way,
as well.
it could be the strap or the watch.
Really?
So you can imagine a really tiny strap that has just the sensor that you want. And it uses the battery from the from the watch.
Oh, okay. So that connector,
Yeah, it's
that smart.
two-way. It provides power and it receives power. It sends data. and it
Oh, so
receives
you can
data
make
as well.
a strap that provided extra power to you.
Yeah, so people are working on a battery strap.
I was about to say, a battery strap would be
there's some
dope. You
good-
could have a 30-day battery.
There's some good trolling already with the infinite battery smart strap on Reddit. It was a lead acid battery attached to your wrist.
Yeah, that sounds very convenient.
Yeah.
What it also does is it doesn't outdate your
Hardware,
watch,
exactly.
right? You can keep adding stuff
You
to
buy
it.
one today, and maybe next year you don't want to buy a new Pebble. You just buy a new strap.
Be interesting, too, is if you have two straps, because there's one coming off of each side. Is the connector only on one side?
On one side, but it can feed through to. I mean, you could imagine.
You can
it going all
daisy
the way.
chain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, actually,
that could get interesting.
So there's this group out of Shenzhen called Seed Studio. They've actually made they're making a modular smart strap for Pebble. It's for
Wow.
developers. It's not for end users right now. But the idea is that they've already created a line of. They've got NFC, they've got GPS, they've got temperature sensors.
Just in those little, what do you call the things on the watch?
Links.
The links. So
Yeah.
each link, it's it's like that Google phone with the chiclets where you can take things apart.
Project Aura.
Project
Yeah,
Aura.
It could. So again, it's
like your own
very
Project
early.
Aura.
This is like day zero for this. So last week we actually announced a $1 million fund, our first fund. We've never done it before, to invest in projects that are working on smart straps. And our intention is just to look around the internet, trawl and see what comes up. And if people are making Kickstarter projects or Indiegogo projects or just their own self-starter projects, we're going to fund them. We're going to get on Kickstarter and we're going to put money into all of these people working on cool smart straps.
Yeah, and if you could put one that would shock me, like if you just electric shock.
So there is actually a startup working on this.
There's what? Yeah, I forgot the name of it. They shock you if you eat food or something.
Pavlok.
Pavlok.
Yeah.
I think it's a put on. I think on April 1st we'll find out it's a put on.
Well, they could make a smart strap. We invite them today here on the show.
What are the things that will be in the smart strap? Do you think? What are the obvious things?
I'm looking forward
Battery,
to.
I got.
There's some obvious stuff. I'm looking forward to the Geiger counter smart strap. Personally, if no one's going to make it, I'm going to make it myself.
Wow. So
don't know.
you can see radiation.
Who knows? I don't know what radiation's around us.
That's actually fascinating.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that too is you could get into very specific jobs. Like is there for the watch? Have you seen anybody come up with like career-specific watches, like a doctor or?
Yeah, so there's time tracker apps for lawyers and for busy professionals that need to. They basically have
Click
to
here.
log their hours, constantly. There's paramedics. There's security services. There's even one for I don't know if it's a public app, but these guys. There's a startup called Bannerman, which is I think they're like Uber for private security. You can.
I know them. Yeah.
Yeah, so they wrote an app for all of their security guards, and they all use Pebble, so they can call each other. Like, imagine if you're on the dance floor and you're at the front door.
For
and you
sure.
need some help.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Super quick.
Very quick way to get somebody to come over there. I was just thinking, what would be interesting is.
And of course, there's a Yo app for Pebble because couldn't.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. They actually raised venture capital.
Yeah, I saw them at.
Have they changed to an actual legitimate business yet, or is it just a Yo?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I use it for Yo, and it's actually remarkably good on Pebble because you don't want to type out an entire message. You want to say,
You just want to Yo.
"What's up, Yo?"
What would be really interesting is to do something for Coachella, where like they used.
The wristbands. Yeah.
Yeah, they used wristbands this year.
We saw Disney did.
And
their
Disney has
entire
theirs. They
thing,
spent $1 billion, I heard, on that or something.
Yeah, it's really
Crazy.
interesting.
How did they spend $1 billion on that whole thing?
Well, I mean, if they want to make it really damn good, I'd imagine they'd put some cash into it.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. You can just go to Disney and check in for rides, beep, beep, boop.
Yeah, soon it will be an app. I think that's the
Yeah,
next
it'll
step.
definitely be something like that with the hardware. So you're going to ship this in May.
Yeah.
So it's right around the corner.
Yes.
And what does it cost now?
It's $179 on Kickstarter.
$130 on Kickstarter for the next 24 hours. We know that.
Yeah.
Ends tomorrow night at midnight.
It'll be
Friday.
$199 in retail later this year.
$199. So you're going to be half the price of the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
So that.
And we also have Pebble at $99 as well, which is an immensely great product.
Yeah.
And it's actually.
Wait,
getting
which one do you
upgraded.
watch? You're wearing.
This is Pebble Time.
That's Pebble Time.
But Pebble is the original one that we launched on
Right,
Kickstarter.
I have that.
It's $99. We're actually bringing Timeline.
People still buy that one?
Oh yeah, it's selling a lot. I mean, it's a great Pebble fitness tracker, activity tracker, swim tracker, $99. It's waterproof, and we're bringing Timeline to it as well. So it's going to have all the new software.
Oh, it's going to get the new software,
Yeah.
even with like the lower.
Well, think about it. There's 1 million people
processor?
that are using Pebble out in the world today.
There are 1 million users.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we sold our 1,000,000th Pebble at the end.
Wow.
And so we're bringing the software there, not just because we think it's respectful to the people who supported us, but also because it gives a bigger target for developers to bring their Timeline apps to.
And how do you upgrade on these?
Software.
You have to just plug it in and.
No, you don't even. It's just Bluetooth. You just hit it.
Bluetooth. So, were you ever in the Apple Store with the product? Like, was Pebble in the app?
No.
You never made it into the App
No,
Store?
we're in Best Buy, AT&T, Target.
So they never let you in the store?
I don't
None
know.
of the watches were allowed in the store.
I
And
think
they
they're
just
probably going to be selling their own watch in the app.
Right, but I mean, it is interesting. Like years ago, the fact that they didn't let you in, and they just kicked out the fitness trackers.
It's true. The Fitbit's not there anymore.
They kicked out the fitness trackers, which I thought, I have to say, like sometimes I'm disappointed in Apple with their approach sometimes, which seems like, does it kill anybody to have the Fitbit there? I kind of feel like
it's a different product. I mean, you're
It's-
not
yeah,
gonna
you wear
mistake
it.
a
I mean, it's
$99 Fitbit for.
I know. It's like it almost feels desperate, which Apple is not. Like to take the Fitbit, which doesn't, or the Up, or any of those.
Simplicity.
They're just
They'll call
simple,
it
like
that.
easy ones. It's like, oh yeah, you want to track your fitness? No, you have to buy the $350 Apple Watch, which lasts 5 hours. You can't buy the, whatever Basis watch, which I use
Yeah.
for tracking, which is a wonderful device, by the way. And so, did you raised venture capital from Charles River Venture?
We did.
George Zachary's been on the program many times.
Yeah.
And they believed in you despite all this madness.
I'm sure George did ask me the question at one point when he was investing in 2013. What about the Apple Watch?
Yeah.
But they weren't worried. They saw an opportunity where not many other people saw it. They said, okay, well, Apple's not going to, they can't just destroy Pebble. Pebble, we had created a community, we had built quite a bit. And I think, the proof's there. We launched our product weeks before the Apple Watch came out. A lot of people said, like you said, why wouldn't you just wait to see? But no, people voted with their dollars.
Hey, why did you go to Kickstarter a second time when you're so successful? And a lot of people say, hey, use like white label this service or that service. I guess Tilt is
Sure,
white
or on
label.
our own website or something
do your
like
own
that.
and then just not pay the 5% VIG. Because the 5% VIG in your case is $1 million.
Yeah. So,
Unless you negotiated a better deal.
in my opinion, it's pretty
He
simple.
didn't answer that question, everybody.
It's pretty simple.
Wait, did you negotiate a better deal? Do you get a better deal if you sell $20 million?
You can ask Yancey about that.
Okay, that's a yes, folks. We got a little bit of a he maybe capped it at something reasonable.
I think the reason is pretty simple.
Yeah.
The reason why we were successful 3 years ago, and the reason why I'm on the program, and the reason why I'm here today, and this is here today, is because 69,000 people believed in us.
Yeah.
2012.
Yeah.
Before anyone else even heard of smartwatches, they went out on a limb and they said, "I'm going to put $120 down and support these guys."
Yeah.
We wanted to go back to them and say, we believe in you as well. We want to show you our new technology before anyone else in the world and give you the opportunity to get in before.
So you could have saved a couple of shekels doing it on your own site, but you want to just be part of that community. And what percentage of your sales do you think comes from, the sort of Kickstarter pieces? People say 30%, 20%.
We'll run the numbers. I think a large percentage were existing Pebble users who upgraded and said, "Hey, I got a Pebble on Kickstarter. I'm going to get the Pebble Time on Kickstarter."
Right.
We actually have a special category for those people. It's the extra special backer.
So
if they're
you'll
twice.
know if they're two-time backer.
Yeah.
See, this is, I think, what Yancey's done really well with Kickstarter is the fact that you really didn't. It doesn't seem like you ever thought like we should just do this on our own. We should definitely still do it here. That's a pretty big proof point for Yancey as well.
Yeah, and their position has evolved just as much as Pebble has evolved over the last 3 years.
Oh my God, has it? Yeah.
They've grown from being, I think, a small platform to something that's, we believe in them, and we decided to go back on Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's pretty. And so, how many people does this 20 million equal?
77,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It really, in a
Imagine
way.
having 77,000 LPs.
In a way. Well, actually, it's interesting you mentioned that. The crowdfunding laws, interestingly, changed, I think, 2 days ago.
Interesting.
I don't know if you know this, but the SEC has been working on this Jobs Act.
Yeah, the Jobs Act.
That came out years ago.
Yeah.
And the first part of that was, hey, general solicitation. We could tell everybody I'm raising money for Inside, you're raising money for Pebble, and oh my God, it doesn't fire off a huge investigation. And oh my God, you're trying to sell people a mine in California for oil or like the gold rush. Now, in 60 days, they're going to allow civilians, non-accredited investors.
60 days, really?
In 60 days, that's what they say.
Yeah.
They're going to have the framework. They have the framework out, but they're going to allow, I think, companies to raise $20 million one time from the public. So Kickstarter could raise $20 million, and you could say...
Oh, it's capped? Interesting. Okay.
I think they capped it at $20 million.
Yeah.
I think they're hoping that somebody doesn't sell $1 billion worth of shares in something that goes under. If it's $20 million, it would be a smaller crater.
Yeah.
Just like Kickstarter and Indiegogo are trying to control the cratering projects because some projects will crater. So the idea would be you could buy a Kickstarter and buy a share in Kickstarter.
Interesting.
So it's $179, and if you want to buy a share for $50...
So is AngelList interested in that kind of thing?
I don't think so, but I can't imagine they won't.
It seems like a logical next step.
Yeah, although all the deals I do on there, I have a syndicate on AngelList. All the deals I do on there, they fill up with just the accredited investors. But I find this fascinating that you could have civilians put $100 into a startup.
Yeah, the cap table would be a bit crazy.
It would be one item.
Oh, interesting.
They would all come in through one.
And they vote as a block, or?
I guess so, yeah. So if they wound up being 3%, they would have 3% of whatever shares represented by this person, I think. Or they would have non-voting shares.
Which is kind of like a syndicate, to be honest. I mean, like people, when you invest in startups from the syndicate, they don't have every member of the board.
One item on the cap table, and then the founder can talk to the syndicate.
I think that's pretty smart.
Or the syndicate lead, or both. And then I always tell them do both. Because you never know. Somebody in that syndicate might be
your next investor.
Well, it happens all the time. So this actually could become a very interesting thing, because I think in your case, were you shocked that a venture capitalist actually invested in the company? Because hardware, when you started to do it, who had done hardware successfully? Fitbit and Jawbone?
Nest.
And Nest. There were 3 people who had done it, maybe?
I don't think Nest had been acquired when we were raising. But
Flipcam was the original.
Flip, yeah. Of course, there's actually quite a few people from Flip who work at Pebble as well.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of Palm people.
Oh, yes, the Palm people.
Yeah. So, no, there wasn't much appetite for hardware. I think there's a lot more now in the last 3 years since we launched on Kickstarter. I think there's been an uptick in the amount of hardware investments. I was just at YC at the Alumni Demo Day a couple days ago.
Was Pebble in
5 or 6.
a YC company?
Yeah, we did YC.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's significant.
You missed our demo day.
When was that?
2011.
Yeah, I wasn't angel investing all that much then.
Too bad.
Yeah. What did you think of the alumni class that you saw? I was there Monday, Tuesday.
It was amazing.
Did you have a favorite company?
I didn't get through. I don't know. Did you do the whole 6 hours?
I did both days.
I didn't do the whole 6 hours.
Did you have? You can tell us the. Yeah, you can tell us the name if you remember it, or the because they're all out there now. Where are the?
I'll have to get back to you. There was a lot of them.
Yeah, 110 or something. Yeah. It was incredible, the number of them. How many were in your class? 50?
30, 34.
30.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different then, huh? Paul knew everybody.
That was the biggest batch. We were
and everybody was
everyone's like, oh, YC's this is crazy. YC's can't do 30. So just to give some point of reference.
But PG was there interacting with every company, right?
I don't think he interacted with everyone, but a lot of them. Yeah. Probably close to all.
Yeah. I just saw 100.
But I mean, they scaled. I mean, YC's done an amazing job at scaling. Who would have thought that?
I just wonder if 110 is too many for the buy side to consume at once. It almost becomes like I could tell from the audience, like the 2 days and 110.
Yeah.
People were a little bit bleary-eyed.
I'm sure they'll figure it out. They're really good at testing things.
They are. I think what they should do is split it into one class that is. I think they should split out the medical stuff. Mm-hmm. So much good medical stuff.
That was incredible. The one startup that was doing the customized cancer drug treatment by testing existing off-the-shelf or prescription drugs. That was incredible.
Yeah. And then there's one recycling drugs, which I think was a nonprofit. Yeah. Then there was a 3D prosthetic leg that was
waterproof. Yeah.
Waterproof and 20% the cost of the actual.
One thing that struck me
expensive one
from all those pitches was that so many people had built things that were important for them in their life.
Yes.
That was really important to me.
Yeah, that is always a great sign, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why is that so important, do you think?
Well, because you're building it for someone who you know.
Yes.
You're building it for you or your close family or friends. And in the early days of any startup, you have to build something that people want. You always have to build something that people want, but it's sure as hell useful to be able to walk over and say, hey, how is this?
I want to eat this sandwich.
Exactly.
This is a sandwich I would like to partake in.
Yeah.
So it ends tomorrow, and then you go back to work. How close is a company to being like a profitable, sustainable entity at this point? Do you make money at $100, $200 per watch?
Oh, we've been profitable for the last 3 years.
You have?
Yeah.
So you're in great financial shape.
We're doing well, yes.
Yeah. The company's not going to go out of business because of the Apple Watch.
No, I don't think so.
No. So it's solid. Because my point to that is you got George to believe. But George is the kind of guy who likes, George Zachary's a pretty famous investor who did Twitter and everything. He's the type of guy to take risk.
Yeah.
Are you finding the other investors, like, because you did an A round with him? Or?
We did, yeah. He did the
But you
entire
haven't done a
round.
B.
No, that's correct.
So what's the story on the B? Are you just going to become sustainable because you have this incredible fan base? Or do you go to market and try to get a B? And do you think there's going to be an appetite for a B round because of the Apple Watch and all this stuff? Is it increase or does it decrease it?
I'm relatively. We raised a small round after YC. We raised about 150, 200K after we went through YC. Raised money from George. I'm a relatively inexperienced classic VC fundraiser, so I'm definitely not the best person to ask about that.
Yeah.
I'm relatively good at raising money on Kickstarter, which is a slightly different skill set.
Yeah.
But no, I to be honest, like that's not the number one thing on our mind right now. I think battling Apple is one of those things.
Yeah, you guys have to. Is it made the company more focused? Has it rallied the team to have this competitor?
I don't think we've changed too much of our strategy in reaction to Apple.
But are you more crisp?
Yes, definitely, and I think we've benefited immensely from the attention that Apple is indirectly putting on Pebble. Our rate of sales doubled on the day that Apple revealed more information about their watch just 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating. That's a really interesting one. So the whole category is interesting. Now, you seem like a very magnanimous guy.
Magnanimous. That's $1 million word. What is
Listen,
that?
I got a couple of them in me, but you're very magnanimous. Like,
okay, I hope it's
you
good.
believe you have the better product.
Oh, I believe we have a different product. I mean, I think that we're better for.
You picked things that you are sure are better. The battery life, the screen, the process of one
definitely,
feed.
100%.
You are certain, I can tell, that this is better. I don't see you as a person going out there saying, listen, we are better than the iWatch for these reasons. You should buy our product, not that product. You don't have that like confrontational, aggressive, I'm going to.
No, and I guess, I mean.
Why not?
It's just not me.
It's just not who you are. Okay,
and
that's fair enough.
I think one of the things that I love is letting the product speak for itself. And I think that as a product, as something that you wear on your wrist, it gets in the way, in a good way. It gets in the way of your life in that you just told me about your Basis watch.
Yeah.
People who wear Pebble tell people about their Pebbles.
Yeah.
And it's not a.
Well, I got it coming. I got the color one coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a gift. I started wearing.
No, but that's what I mean. That it's part of your daily life. It's something that's physically there, and that's useful.
Have people told you though you need to like get out there and get on CNBC and whatever, just be more aggressive and say, buy our watch, not that watch. Our watch is half the price, and it's better, and it's going to be you're going to use it more, and the battery life's going to be better.
I think
because if it was me, I would be coming out, my guns blazing. I'd be like, hop, 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 hop. But then again, maybe it would not work as good.
I mean, me speaking is different than the company speaking.
Okay.
I think you can definitely see that. We've had some fun in the past with marketing.
Tell me.
Very exciting stuff.
What have you done in the marketing space?
We may or may not have poked a giant once or twice.
Really?
Accidentally or on purpose a couple times.
Really? Do tell.
Yeah, we had some last fall when we announced that Pebble was going to go to $99 and Pebble Steel was $199. We took advantage of the fact that it was 1/4 of the price of the Apple Watch, and may or may not have run some of that fun stuff on our website.
Cool.
But I think you could expect Pebble to get louder and to get a little bit more out into the world. Maybe me, maybe the company.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I like it.
I would do a head-to-head commercial. This is what I would do. I would hire.
The Switch. Remember the I'm a PC and I'm a
PC, I'm a Mac. That would be funny actually to do a parody like that, where you said, "Hey, I'm an iWatch or I'm an Apple Watch," and it'd be like, "I need to be charged right now," and then the other one would just work. That would be pretty funny. But I do think doing a head-to-head comparison, and hey, our watch is going to get a lot more done, and you're not going to have to worry about it, and you're going to have the battery life, and you're going to be able to read it in the sun.
Yeah.
And just outlining that in a very outwardly aggressive way that Apple and Microsoft went at it with each other. Here's why. You're fighting up. Obviously, I would never tell Apple to do this, but you're fighting up. And every
I would love if they did that. That would be fantastic.
Wouldn't that be amazing if Apple was like, hey, this little company with 140 people over here, we'd like to talk about it. Like, please, by all means, Tim Cook,
I would love
talk about our company. But you could get a lot of pops on CNBC and other things talking about the watch, talking at CNN, whatever. Hey, this watch, you're going to have to charge it. It only lasts 4 hours.
And I'm really excited that Pebble Time is coming out almost exactly around the time of the Apple Watch, almost like we meant it that way.
Almost like you meant it that. So this is it. You actually have a little bit of a competition in you, as we say from.
But again, I think it's very much the product. I think we put our passion into what we made. We put our direction into what we made, and I can talk about it, but it can operate.
You know what I love about your passion for the product and you as a product person is you're very clear about why you did what you did. There's an intentionality to Pebble that I've always appreciated, which is, hey, we understand how this is used. We've been building this and studying it. You want to have this one layer with everything on this one feed. I think that timeline feature is really critical in the actual utilization of the watch. My prediction with the Apple Watch is I think it's going to sell well because people are loyal. I think a lot of them are going to be sitting on desks and left behind.
I hope they're not $17,000.
Not the $17,000. What is it, sort of $350?
Yeah.
$350. It's expensive, but it'll probably come down a little bit.
We'll see what happens. I think we'll see relatively shortly what.
All right, listen, Eric, this has been great. Continued success. Thank you for coming on the program. I know you're super busy and it's day 29, but hey, listen, it's a good time to come on This Week in Stars. It's the most watched show. It's a good time. I said, this is why you're smart. You're coming on the show right as the thing ends, and you can have your victory lap. It's smart.
Still a chance.
Well, you probably hit 21, I guess, right? 22, something like that. It's amazing, dude. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you,
honestly,
Jason.
I was talking to producer Jackie about it, and I was like, I want Eric on before this ends.
I'm glad we did it.
You are an inspiration to all entrepreneurs, and I mean this sincerely, because a lot of other people would not take on the challenge and would not stay so positive and relentless in pursuit of their dream. And to go out there and to show the world that you could break all those records again, to me, it's like Michael Jordan coming back and winning in the ring. Like you pioneered the space. I don't care who comes into the space. I'm still going to be here. That's a very good message as an entrepreneur. I think you're sending a very good message to young entrepreneurs who always I'm going to pivot. Oh, it's hard. I'm going to pivot. A lot of people thought you were going to pivot. You didn't. Were there discussions inside the company we should pivot?
We've evolved, we've changed and grown.
It's not a pivot, though.
But we're still making watches. We couldn't get it out of our system. It was just an irresistible
You had to have some people lobbying
totally.
you. Like, what did they say? Let's make an operating system for watches?
I'm not going to name names, but
what was the idea, that the cockamamie idea?
Software.
We should just make the software and license it to other people like Android.
Yeah.
You know what you would be doing right now? Nothing. Nobody would adopt it.
We might be working, but imagine if
you'd be working at Google.
Yeah.
That's where you'd be. Or HTC or
happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
So excited. Breaking all records. Everybody, if you hear my voice right now, you go buy a Pebble. Listen to me. Go to getpebble.com. Go to Kickstarter. Go buy it. If you're a developer, go check out the indie revolution at developer.getpebble.com, developer.getpebble.com. You can follow the Twitter handle, PebbleDev. You guys ever do like a hackathon?
Tons of hackathons.
You got to do get in there, guys. This is incredible. And they're doing the $1 million fund. How do people find out about the $1 million fund for hardware hacking? Because you have Highway 1 and Hackcelerator. There's a lot of places that might want to.
So this one actually, I mean, it's not. We're not incubating. We're not tutoring. It's just if you're doing something related to smart straps, we're going to put some cash in there, and it's not investment. It's not actually. We're actually just putting it in.
That's the
Smart Strap Development Fund.
Smart Strap Development Fund, and I don't know where you can find out about that, but I assume your website.
Twitter. Twitter's good.
You find out about it on Twitter, and you can follow Eric on Twitter. He's Eric Migi, M-I-G-I. Eric Migi. Eric, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Thanks to our sponsors. Continued success, and we'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.